This is Time and Other Thieves, reflections and conversations on the nature of existence.
I mean, I definitely can do go into almost any encounter, and especially a therapy space, and especially group space, and feel like we're all going to die when this group ends, or tomorrow, or in 10 minutes. Like, this is your chance
Yeah.
to have transformation. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't you take the chance? Do the thing. Yeah. So,
I'm Sarah B., and for this episode, I'm going to share parts of a conversation I recently had with Jacob Winkler. Jacob is a licensed clinical social worker living in New Jersey and the founder and facilitator of the Masters of Group Therapy Club that I'm a member of, and which I've mentioned multiple times on this show. In a nutshell, Club, as we call it, is a group of 7 people, including Jacob, that meets on Zoom for 50 minutes every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoon to talk about interpersonal process groups. Most of us lead groups in our respective states: North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New Jersey, British Columbia, technically a province, Washington, and Oregon. A couple of us might lead groups someday, but meanwhile just love learning about them and engaging with other club members. On his website, Jacob calls Club, quote, the place to learn everything, all caps, you need to lead extraordinary groups. The Masters of Group Therapy Club is for clinicians who are passionate about their own psychological growth. We encourage developing creativity, courage, insight, wisdom, and wholeness for our own personal benefit and the enrichment of our careers. We strive to embrace the uncomfortable feelings involved in being challenged, confronted, and encountering the unknown. We invite all parts of ourselves into our awareness and practice expressing ourselves with spontaneity, honesty, and a willingness to learn. Then he lists the club benefits: continued education, supervision, community, having a bad day, come and vent, flexible attendance, exclusive screenings, expert discussions, a resource library, unique mentorship, referrals, workshop discounts, accelerated marketing, and a strict no boredom policy. Quote, interrupt anytime, ask a question, say you're bored, bring in something you're struggling with in your practice or your personal life. It's dynamic, engaging, stimulating, inspiring, end quote. All of this for just $239 a month. Some people spend that much on a single one-on-one therapy session. So considering the club meets 3 times a week, it really is a good deal. And you really do get all the benefits Jacob listed. I've been a member of the Masters of Group Therapy Club for about a year now, having joined sometime in August 2024. I hope to be a member for many years to come. I'm so grateful to Jacob for creating the space and showing up week after week, always ready to get curious, to engage, to challenge, to go deeper. He's one of the most creative people I know and one of the most courageous. He loves people enough to risk their hating him. He loves himself enough to welcome others' aggression. On his website, Jacob writes, I joined my first process group in 2016 and I'm still in that original group. My time in process groups has taught me how to not avoid conflict, how to tolerate disappointment and rejection, how to stay open to criticism, how to go for what I want. I truly don't think I would be capable of a nourishing marriage without these lessons. I wouldn't feel confident with my parenting. I would feel far less empowered in my work. I'm also a member of a second ongoing group and attend lots of time-limited group events and trainings every year. I love group. I teach other people how to run groups. I write about groups. I dream about groups. Because life is groups. Family, friends, co-workers, schools, towns, states, and the country as a whole. Louis Ormont, my main group inspiration, wrote, if you succeed in group, you will succeed in life. We spoke on a Monday afternoon, having rescheduled from the previous Friday morning when I'd had to cancel on him because I wasn't feeling well. I did feel well enough, though, to attend the club meeting that day at 12, and Jacob wanted to explore the possibility that I'd woken up with gastrointestinal issues, by then mostly cleared up, because part of me hadn't wanted to do the interview with him. This didn't surprise me, as Jacob is always wondering how certain behaviors and symptoms might indicate what's happening in the unconscious. I admitted to having felt a little nervous about our talk, but that I'd mostly felt excited, and I was pretty sure I just had some sort of bug. But when I woke up the following Monday feeling even worse than I'd felt on Friday, I had to reconsider. Maybe Jacob was right. I'd told him in a previous email that instead of sending him a list of questions in advance, I'd just like for us to talk about club and to be as here and now and process-oriented as possible and just see where it took us. Maybe that was too ambiguous and I was more nervous about it than I consciously realized. But I'd be damned if I was going to cancel on Jacob again, so I devoted the morning to resting, and by 1 o'clock I felt well enough to do the interview. Right out of the gate, I told Jacob I wasn't feeling 100% and was wondering if my symptoms were mostly because of fear. He said,
I think we get, as animals, anxious with novelty, uncertainty, and especially what are the social rules here?
He said that such anxiety was definitely an element of club, where we have our professional hats on but are also encouraged to practice emotional communication similar to what happens in process groups. And we communicate with each other between meetings, which process groups typically don't allow. And now here we were, Jacob and I, meeting one-on-one for the first time ever, with no real structure to the conversation, which was being recorded for who knows how many people to later hear. It made sense that one or both of us would feel anxious, and to pretend that that wasn't the case would only make things worse.
I want to emphasize honoring your discomfort here now with me, to me, is like the essence of the community part of club. What distinguishes it from, look, I'm a teacher, you're a student, like get your shit together and show up for class. For both of us, really. I also, like, as opposed to, I don't remember I saw this maybe in a bunch of different spots, but the idea of, before we begin anything else, what do people need and want? That it's possible to give each other. So whatever you're coming in with, to honor that the part of you that's not just goal oriented, let's say, that's not on task in the moment, matters in the connection and in the space. And so we're meeting over Zoom. We can't give you a physical hug, but we can put a hug into words. We can give you encouragement. We can commiserate around something. We could help you find the next show to watch with your partner or whatever, or a book recommendation, or like, if you're just really excited about something, like we can do a lot that families are supposed to do. And I think we go into every space hoping that it will happen, but not knowing how to even ask for it, assuming that we can't ask for it. And if we did, it wouldn't be given to us. Mm-hmm. So, can you imagine, some other place, yeah, boss, I'll do this. But before that, can you just say something encouraging? Because I've been having a bad day.
Right. Or just pretend you care how I feel at all.
Yeah.
What I want.
So that's one of the parts of club that I'm most proud of, is centering this. We have these goals, and whatever's you're coming in with, you don't have to override or ignore. We want to give that the attention it needs so that you can pursue the goals in a kind of integrated way.
The whole unconscious thing is a real trip. I just don't know how much of it is that and how much of it is just genuine. Maybe I have allergies. Maybe I have some kind of bug.
Well, so this has come up. Some people like a cigar is sometimes only a cigar. Don't analyze everything. Enough with the analyzing. And to me, because I'm not your physician, the place where I have a meaningful handle is what might be going on here on the story level, on the symbol level. So I have found it nourishing and affirming to assume that there's always something.
Yeah, I do find, yeah, there's more like a magical quality to it that way, if that's what is happening. And it's not as scary, it's more interesting than scary. Yeah, and you can think about it more creatively, and because my mind so quickly goes to, if it is physical, it goes to all these other outcomes and worst case scenarios and stressing myself out even more and making myself feel worse.
I would look at those fantasies though as dreams too. If your leg is hurting, you'll think, oh, I guess I won't be walking the dog, so my husband will have to. And then you could be like, I actually kind of want my husband to walk the dog instead of me. But you're not going to think, oh, I guess I won't sign up to coach the kids' soccer team. That was not on your mind at all. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
where you go with it can already be like, oh, this is what this is bringing up for me. It's what it's prompting.
Mm-hmm.
Right before this, I had a debrief call with someone from the Deeper in the Here and Now. And
Deeper in the Here and Now is a 3-part group that Jacob leads on a recurring basis, over 30 times now and counting. I participated in it last November. Jacob also offers a 12-week process group called Training for Life, as well as ongoing open-ended groups. Of his Deeper in the Here and Now debrief call, he said he
was excited to invite her to join a new group, and she was ready to join. And I decided kind of in the moment not to ask her to do an additional individual session, which I normally would do. And then I felt anxious about that. And then I was like, am I anxious about that? Or am I anxious about talking with Sarah? And I was like, I don't know, but I just wrote down sort of in my notes about this new group, something came up around this. It's okay to sort of continue as planned, but don't like push it out of mind. Don't be like, this is nothing. Just like some part of me is concerned about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take care of that part.
Yeah. Do you use writing in that way frequently?
Oh yeah. I am, usually journaling throughout the day and just sort of tending to myself, being the therapist and the group leader to myself and to my parts, and just writing sometimes the most mundane, this is the time of day and I just had dinner and, it was a tiring day and looking forward to this. And if I had another half hour, maybe maybe it would deepen, like mentioned before, and it doesn't sometimes, or I don't have that half hour. But it's wonderful to be able to be with myself in this way.
Writing is an incredibly potent way to bring unconscious material into consciousness, to honor all the parts of ourselves and try not to feel bad about any of them. That's a life goal I can get behind. Can you imagine going through life without feeling bad about any part of yourself, any feeling you have, any thought you think? Of course, there are times when we should feel bad, as when we do things with malicious intent. Feeling bad about it will ensure we don't do it again, at least not in the near future. But I, for one, usually find myself feeling bad about things behind which I had no malicious intent at the time, at least not consciously. How is that useful? And to write about those feelings would be a brave act indeed. In writing about it, we must spend time with it and really look at it and give it language. The feelings we'd normally prefer to push away or distract ourselves from are given very specific prefrontal cortex attention. At one point in our conversation, I told Jacob he was very Jungian, referring, of course, to Carl Jung. A reformed student of Sigmund Freud, Jung wrote reams about the power of the unconscious mind. You can listen to the episode that came out before this one if you want to hear my take on his book, Modern Man in Search of a Soul.
So much of what Jung was about was, instead of trying to run from the other parts of yourself, don't be anxious, it's probably fine, just pull yourself together and do the thing that you're supposed to do. He would say, go towards and invite the fears, the ideas, the dreams, the nightmares. And I just love the potential for that in group.
Like a writing practice, which Jacob earlier described as a way to be with his different parts, a concept from internal family systems therapy, being in a process group offers the opportunity to interact with aspects of ourselves as they appear in other people. So instead of conversing with ourselves on the page, we do so in an actual conversation with another human being. We're always doing this in every conversation we have, just interacting with our own experience of seeing and hearing and feeling and thinking. But in group, we're more aware that we're doing it and can work with it more, thanks to the group agreements and various other aspects of the therapeutic container, including the leadership style. Jacob's style can be aggressive at times, withholding at others, and sometimes quite nurturing and maternal. All of it is in service of giving his group members a real experience. What can he do to help people turn towards what they usually turn away from? I once heard him quoted as saying, "Follow the heat," meaning do whatever feels most risky. Take the chance. Challenge a member who intimidates you. Welcome criticism from someone you judge. Tell people how they impact you. As a leader, though, that last one can get tricky.
I think everyone is irritating and annoying at least half the time.
Yeah.
Some people more than that. And my, motto, I guess, or something, is to use that, not to try to transcend it or ignore it. So that you can actually really help people, even if in the moment you're really disliking them.
Mm-hmm.
That can be remarkably empowering and refreshing for them, that you respect them enough to tell them what exactly they're doing that's causing you to dislike them in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're not kicking them out the door with that, but inviting to get closer. And of course, inviting them to do the same. Say, look, I'm going to, even possibly in how I'm telling you this, but I'm going to be at least as nasty and inconsiderate as you are. And I expect you and invite you to tell me. And
You do that in groups or an individual? You will actually say if someone's annoying you, or
I will notice it and pay attention. And I will wonder, am I just the first person to pick this up? Which might be the case. Other people are inhibited about allowing themselves to feel irritated by this. And then I might think, okay, who's the closest to being able to say this? And how can I help them say it? Because as much as possible, you want the energy to come from other group members. But what often does happen is no one's close to saying it. And then I have a whole lot of ways of trying to bring it in. One that I love would simply be, well, what would it be like if someone were to respond in this way? Or just put it on someone else. Rebecca here is thinking that Joe is just rambling and can't, she's like, why doesn't he shut up already? I can't stand this. This is exactly how my husband is and my dad. And I can't, why are we in this group? And she's, I could just tell. And Rebecca might be like, no, that was none of that. But I've honored the part of myself. Joe has heard that someone possibly had that association. The group, I think and hope, gets the message that it's okay to have thoughts and feelings like that. I might exaggerate it in a way that makes it also more okay. But my main thing is that I'm honoring the part of myself that's coming up, so that it's not being buried in me or like sort of repressed.
Mhm.
Now, the more analytic mode would be you honor the part of yourself by studying it intensely. And I've written about having those as options to just
Right.
like study it and eventually express it or to express it.
I read that, right?
Yeah,
Introvert versus extrovert.
right. I don't know if those are the best
Right.
ways of describing this difference, but there is a difference. And so, because I temperamentally want to express it more
Hmm.
and am always developing the capacity to study, I will find a way to do that generally.
Always developing the capacity to study. I love that. I could make that a mantra. It's got a good rhythm to it and perfectly sums up, in a haiku-esque way, what I love most about group. All we're essentially doing is studying what's happening. And you cannot study what you don't stay with. One must develop the capacity to stay with, and that capacity is never fully developed. It's always just developing. That's a liberating concept. No finish line, no goal to attain, nothing to strive for. And yet at times it can feel like nothing's happening, which for people like me and Jacob, who both value efficiency in an almost moralistic way, it can test the patience. Just as we want to make the most of our time and energetic output, we want our group members to do the same. And in many cases, paradoxically, that requires slowing things way down.
I mean, I definitely can do go into almost any encounter, and especially a therapy space, and especially group space, and feel like we're all going to die when this group ends, or tomorrow, or in 10 minutes. Like, this is your chance
Yeah.
to have transformation. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't you take the chance? Do the thing. Yeah. So, um, one of my union supervisors said, Jacob, you should write on the back wall behind your patient all the time in the world. I
Mm.
actually did.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act between whatever part of the personality that's like, do it now. Now is the chance, and like just be with.
Yeah.
There's no rush, timelessness. Yeah.
Hmm.
Process groups are definitely a great antidote to the go, go, go insanity of our society, and a powerful means of really seeing, and of course feeling, how conditioned most of us are to rush through things and past things so we can reach our destination, hit our mark, or simply not have to be uncomfortable for even a second. But in many cases, especially where emotions and relationships are concerned, our salvation, if you will, lies in our discomfort. There's so much to learn from it, the kind of learning that brings true freedom. I want to thank Jacob Winkler for coming on the show. This episode was originally much longer, about 75 minutes long, actually. It included most of my and Jacob's conversation and a lot more commentary on my part. I found myself analyzing what was said in the same way that we analyze demo group footage in club. I wanted to convey how very much can happen in the briefest of interpersonal exchanges. But when I sent Jacob the file, he said he'd prefer to, quote, focus the public-facing product on the club and hint at or tease, rather than display, the more process elements. He put in bold font the parts of the Zoom transcript that he wanted to include. And my first reaction was relief. I'd exposed too much of myself in the initial draft. When sending it to him, part of me had hoped he'd suggest a different approach, thereby saving me from myself. So what was originally the longest one-part episode of Time and Other Thieves is now the shortest interview episode I've ever done. But we've got all the time in the world, Jacob and I. I'll have him on the show again soon, hopefully more than once. As we say in my Zen Sangha, again and yet again, may it be so. Thanks for listening.